Whoops, I pressed the wrong button, but that's okay. We are live. Trevor is going to join us in a couple minutes. Excited to be here. Want to go over some of the open jobs that we have today. Want to go over some of the information from ETH Denver. What an experience. So let's start with open jobs we have. These are going to be based in the US. Actually, that's a lie. I've got one based in Toronto. It's a hybrid role. 1 second. Hybrid role, partially on site, about 4 days a week on site in the Toronto office. So that's an AML analyst role, looking for crypto experience there. Sorry if you can hear my dogs barking in the background. We have a lead software engineer / a head of engineering based in New York on site, a backend DeFi engineer based in New York on site, a senior backend engineer based in New York on site, a mobile iOS and Android engineer, New York on site, front-end developer, New York on site, and then remote, we've got a sales development representative. We also have a crypto lawyer. We've been working on this for like 8 months. There are some incredible candidates in play, but they keep getting swept up. So we're excited to continue to work on that. We've got an account executive for a data analytics company, as well as a senior software engineer. Those are both remote. We have a protocol network engineer, a finance and operations lead based in New York, but remote. We have a head of growth. We're actually having a call with that hiring manager later today, so I'll be able to get you more information on that. I also have an investor relations opportunity. This is fully remote. 2 Solana software engineers, a business development lead. We're flexible on title there. Another mobile engineer, business development manager, a head of growth, product owner, and we talked about that AML analyst role. So that is what we've got going on job-wise in the US. Let's take a look at APAC. For those of you that don't know, we've got a team of 3 in APAC. We are slowly expanding. We've got a team of 2 in Europe now. The crypto recruiters, we're just taking over. So in APAC, I've got a technical product manager, an account executive for an infrastructure company, a senior account executive, a Web3 cybersecurity consultant, a head of marketing, an executive assistant, influencer marketing manager, global community manager, an ecosystems manager, an office manager, that's remote, a community manager, technical content writer, head of ecosystem, head of APAC, 2 chief technology officers, a BD manager, and DevRel. So if you are exploring new opportunities, we've got, just to get a total, 39 open jobs. I will be transparent. We are in final rounds with a lot of those, but we are having really great conversations with new companies. So I was just on the phone with, I can't tell you who they are, but I was on the phone with a crypto company. They're hiring 100 engineers. 100, if you can believe it. So we are very excited for the opportunity to support them. So we will be hiring front-end, back-end, full-stack engineers with crypto, but doesn't require crypto experience, which is new and snazzy, and I like that a lot. Today, guys, I want to have an open conversation. So please leave us a comment if you have a question. Right now, we can only see the comments live on LinkedIn. So if you're watching on YouTube, not able to see those. So leave a comment on LinkedIn and let's have a conversation. Hey, Greg, it's good to see you. So we can go over resumes. We can go over LinkedIn profiles. If you want to send me a DM on LinkedIn, we can do that. But this is the time for us to bring value to our network, right? No other recruiting firm is doing this. We want to set you up for success. Here's my thought. If I can help you find a job, amazing. If someone else or you can help you find a job, amazing. Goal accomplished. That is the target here. We want to get people into crypto jobs. We want to grow this ecosystem, and we want to see it be successful. So let's talk about ETH Denver. ETH Denver was an interesting experience. It was definitely different than last year. I did a live stream, but then the quality was just terrible. So whoever tuned into that, thanks for bearing with me. So what did I take away from ETH Denver? It wasn't a great trip for me, I'll be honest. And I understand, we don't want to complain. Nobody cares about the bad stuff. But I think it's important to note that there's not a lot of respect for women. I got some pretty inappropriate interactions that I was very disappointed about. And it made me feel about this tall. and this serious, right? And I've been in this industry for 5 years. I've worked very hard. I would hope I would have more respect, but that was not true for ETH Denver. I found that, some people were very friendly and some people were very guarded. I want to remind everybody, conferences are a place to network. It's where you go to meet new people. So, I found that when I was approaching people, I would say probably 29 out of every 30 conversations just shut me down, just had no interest in having a conversation, which I thought was really interesting. I do think that there is a way you can handle different situations. Like if you don't want to talk to somebody, hey, Trevor, if you don't want to talk to somebody, that's totally fine, but you don't need to be rude about it when everybody's there to network. So I thought the conference itself was beautiful. Also, Trevor and I are going to DAS in New York, which is more institutional. I think it'll be a completely different vibe. But at ETH Denver, there was definitely less people. I understand, there were a lot of speakers and, there was a lot of great photos, but there was like nobody in the audience. I felt like everybody was at after parties, which is fine and great, but the conference was definitely a little on the low end. So I feel kind of bad for the sponsors that put together these amazing booths, and not a lot of people showed up. So that was kind of interesting to see people not showing up to talks because those are usually really incredible. So it was a little bit of a lower vibe. There were definitely some jaded people in the industry, some crab apples. So overall, fine experience. I wouldn't say, I don't know if I'd go next year unless they really pump up the numbers. But I would say, there's a lot of people that are posting, oh, women in Web3, women won Denver. I had the exact opposite experience. And I spoke to some women about it and they had similar experiences to us. So that's the one thing about social media. Sometimes it looks a lot better than it is. And, I want to do a shout out to all the women in Web3. I know what you're going through. Not acceptable. It'll get better. I promise. I mean, it's something that happens in all industries, right? But I was very disappointed in the crypto bros. I was very disappointed in the crypto bros. And Greg's got a comment. The lack of attendees is interesting. Yeah. It was definitely quiet. I was pretty shocked. Like we weren't, wasn't bumping into people. They also had a lot of like gambling events. So Blockworks hosted a poker night. They didn't have water at the event, which like, Jason, we got to talk here. We need water at events. They had sparkling water. And I was like, regular water, please. And then Stellar hosted this amazing event at the aquarium. It was a casino night. I mean, that was probably the most busy event that I saw. I mean, there was a line out the door of 150 people. I actually, when I left, I gave my wristband to someone and let them skip the line. They were very excited about that because it was a long line, let me tell you. What was cool, I wonder if I can show you this picture on the camera. What was really cool was in the aquarium itself, in the water, they had put a Stellar sign, which I thought was really cool. Let me see if I can pull this up. I also met like a bunch of my friends at ETH Denver, like Ken Chapman. So here's that. It was in the middle of the exhibit. How cool is that? Stellar's really killing it. And I got to give a shout out to my main man, Teague. Teague started at Stellar recently. He's been absolutely killing it. He used to work for us and we were just so proud of him for how much he has grown in the crypto ecosystem. So really proud of you, Teague. Great event. So I was kind of a dum-dum. I didn't bring extra luggage, so I couldn't take any swag home. I was very disappointed in that because I thought some of the swag at ETH Denver was incredible. But overall, I think the vibes are a little bit down. I think people are still really passionate about the space, but getting a little jaded. And, it definitely felt cliquey. So I was just walking around in my yellow hoodie. People that know me, my friends that know me, they came up, they said hello. I didn't schedule any appointments. That wasn't my goal for ETH Denver. My goal was just to see my friends, to see my people, and I went with Ryan, our head of talent. It was great to see him. So overall, probably 7 out of 10 experience. I feel like if there was more people, more positivity, more willingness to meet people, it would have been fine. Like I walked up to this. So I was at an arcade event sponsored by one of our friends. And I walked up to this guy who, like, he was on his phone. And I walked up and I was like, "Hi, I'm Emily." And he was like, "Oh, you interrupted me." And I was like, "Oh, sorry about that." And he was just like, had no interest. And I was shocked because that never happens. He was quite rude, actually. And I was telling my friend, I was like, "Yeah, I met this guy from Solana and he was definitely a tough cookie." And she was like, "Sounds about right." And I was like, "Damn, is Solana like that?" I've actually heard really good things about Solana. I've heard it's a good environment. I heard it's positive vibes over there. They're working on some really fun stuff. We've been working with Solana. We've had nothing but good experiences, but that guy.
Yeah, Solana. Shout out to Matt Sorg. He's a good dude. He's I think they're VP of tech. So yeah,
hold on one second. I have my volume down. Say that one more time, Trev.
So I was.
Oh, you muted yourself.
Technology, man. I'll figure it out. No, I was going to say shout out to Matt Sorg. He's a good dude. He's like their VP of tech over at Solana. We had him on a podcast. Speaking about funny things about podcasts, a couple of people, what are your thoughts on strategic crypto reserves? Funny enough, we just had a 45-minute conversation about that yesterday on a new podcast that we are doing, the Crypto Recruiters, a partnership with C4, the amazing Jessica Levesque. So if you guys are interested in that, go to our homepage on the Crypto Recruiters, and there is a 45-minute entire recording there for you to check out.
It's definitely it was definitely an interesting headline. And I'm really glad that you were able to speak about it yesterday with Jessica Levesque. She's the executive director at C4. And what is the event called? Blockchain Simplified?
Yes, we're going to keep it with Blockchain Simplified. Keep it simple for the title. No, it was interesting because we had prepared for this for weeks. And then literally 2 days before we had gone live, you have that bombshell of news drop, and then we had to kind of adjust things, and a lot of things changed since then. So that's the industry that we live in, folks. Nothing changes quicker than crypto. So it was really cool to have that conversation. That was our inaugural event, no pun intended there, but look forward to us coming back and doing more after the week after we get back from DAS, which is the week of the 17th and 18th.
Yep, I think it's going to be a fun time. I've got a lot of appointments set up for Dash just with people that want to have a conversation. Is the negativity at ETH Denver due to the crypto price fall FUD? Yes and no. I think there's just an overall jadedness within the industry right now. You know what else I think is interesting? People that are like blasé about getting in. I think crypto is something that you have to be in for the long haul. You have to be really passionate about it because passion pushes us forward, right? Not all of us have crypto experience. So it's important that we differentiate ourselves in a way like that. So I just think it was very cliquey. I think it was people there to meet up with investors or other people. Here's what I don't understand, right? Like, and maybe I'm just too old. What is the point of a rave, a networking rave? Can someone explain this to me? Because how do you network with someone at 3 o'clock in the morning and with like in the background? Like, what are we just going to sit there, pretend we can hear each other and nod along and smile? Like, oh yeah, very interesting. Can't hear a word.
Maybe when the drinks kick in, people start getting a little friendly, start being a little bit more talkative. Who knows?
How are you going to hear anybody?
Oh, it's not about hearing. It's just, you don't need to actually hear the people. You just need to be saying words.
So that's the Web3 vibe for you. We're all going to raves. I know that instead of going to raves, I took people to In and Out at 3 o'clock. Not 3 o'clock.
What about this? Like, talk to people a little bit about like some of the side events. I think that's something that's really popular. at a lot of major crypto events, even for people that believe that they have to spend the top dollar to get a ticket because everyone can't afford that. Everyone can't afford the flight and the cost associated with staying at some of these major events. But the side events, those are usually very kind of, I would say, more collaborative type of events, and they seem to have a little bit better vibes. So what were your thoughts on those this year?
So still clicky, still people kind of in their own little group doing their own little thing. I found that, the side events, they were fun. They had speakers, but again, I think people were more interested in just like talking to each other than they were listening to the speakers. I know we saw some really good talks by some of our clients, by some of our candidates, actually, that have been promoted and are now KOLs. So the side events were good, minus the fact that there was limited space. There was something I really wanted to say and now I'm forgetting it. It's like right on the tip of my tongue. So this was funny. So Blockworks, we had placed, not at Blockworks, but a gentleman named Matthew, who basically runs all the events. So at one of the events, I texted Matt. I was like, hey, man, this line, crazy. I'm so excited to see you. So he was like, I got you. And here I am in my yellow hoodie, bright yellow, can't miss me. And I'm standing in the line of maybe 100 people. And the security guard comes up and she's like, Landon? And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I literally cut through 100 people right to the front of the line. I, felt like I was getting dirty looks, but I, two, felt like so popular. I was like, oh my gosh, the VIP treatment. That event was really good. I don't play poker, so I was just kind of hanging out with everybody. But it was fun. So, Michael, has there been a lot of interest in Fidelity Digital Asset in Boston? Are you actively recruiting for them? So, no, we don't recruit for Fidelity. Nothing against Fidelity, but they've had a lot of different transitions. What's interesting about recruiting is these bigger companies have a vendor list, and in order to be on that vendor list, you've got to hold like $1 million in insurance, front payroll, and employ everybody on a W-2. We are a boutique crypto recruiting firm, so we're not capable of being a vendor for Fidelity. If they wanted to work with us on a direct hire basis, absolutely, but they prefer to work with 10 to 12 vendors at a time, whereas we are much more focused on like founder-led initiatives. I can tell you there are a couple giant companies that we are working with on a direct hire basis. We're just waiting for next steps there, but I'm very excited. But Trevor, interest in Fidelity Digital Assets in Boston, what does that look like?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's more of a kind of a new niche group or a boutique group within the traditional arm of Fidelity Investments. So, Alex Carter, he's all over the internet. Michael, if you're listening, Alex Carter, he is the lead recruiter over at Fidelity. I've actually had a conversation with him. I met him numerous times. He's been to different networking events and stuff like that. Whenever he comes to Boston, he's a good dude. But I had a chat with him over a year ago about that. And I was talking to him about us partnering with them potentially. Just like, back to what Emily said, they only work with people on a vendor basis. And I think that the rate that they were getting ready to pay, like the most they could do is maybe like 5 or 7% or something like that. And, in terms of kind of the time and effort that we dedicate to filling these roles and supporting our client, it's much more of a, I would say, hands-on approach rather than being very hands-off and transactional. So, it just wasn't a good fit. But will that change in the future? Who knows? Obviously, could be optimistic. But from what I've been kind of seeing from the people and the roles that they've been hiring and, the work that Alex has been doing, kind of trying to spin up this new group, I have no negative things to say about him. So DYOR, folks.
I love DC's comment. It's like golfing. One meets their next partner in those clubs. I still can't get over how are they going to be your partner if you can't hear them? That's my only thing. Starsky, what other Web3 blockchain and crypto events do you recommend we attend this year? Great question. So definitely DAS if you're more on the institutional side. I think Consensus in Toronto is going to be epic. I know so many people going to Consensus. I'm not going to attend, but one of our colleagues, Vince, is going. So I think that's going to be a great event. And then Amsterdam has an event. Paris Blockchain Week is coming up. And then Token 49, I think, is going to be a game changer. We have someone going to that. I wish I could go, but I am not going there.
Isn't there like also to ECB? I know that that's something. Wasn't there like a digital futurist something conference as well too? I know that Thrilled Labs, someone also too, the founder was on a podcast ages ago, but I know that they partnering, and there was an event, I believe, in Toronto, and it was more like blockchain crypto centric. I think it's one that you went to last year, Emily, like the
Futurist Conference in Toronto.
Yes.
I don't know if that's happening because they moved Consensus to Toronto. I know the Bitcoin 2025 conference is coming up in May. Bitcoin Prague is coming up. So I would say, local. Oh, also, sorry.
Isn't there NFT NYC? Isn't that like, did that already pass? There's so many events.
There's a lot of events. The conference circuit is wild.
Do you want to show people, and this is something that we've done numerous times before, but maybe it might help here, how to do a quick Boolean search and try to find crypto events on LinkedIn?
Yeah, let me, LinkedIn's been a little funky recently. Let me see if it works. 1 second. Let me do this. Can we do it on LinkedIn? Crypto events.
Or you can just search like crypto or blockchain or Web3. And then once it comes there, under the left-hand side, if I'm going off of memory, on the left-hand side, under the search bar, if you scroll on the left, you scroll all the way down, and I would say like near the bottom, in terms of the options, there's like people, posts, jobs, and then there's like events. Click on events and then filter that out by the particular area that you live in. Some of these events, a lot of the events, they're not necessarily all in-person events. There's some virtual events. So definitely go there. There's tons of different events around the world. You can search by your particular jurisdiction or area where you're living. And as I mentioned before, a lot of them are not necessarily like in-person events, so you can still attend those. In addition to crypto events, people should also be looking into different types of like crypto hackathons. You should be looking into
networking groups, local groups.
Networking groups. There was it was something else, not incubators, but it'll come back to me. But there are other events that you can go to as well too if you're not a technical person, like where they do very basic like trainings on smart contracts and codes and things like that. Boot camp, boom. So you look at those. That's a really great way to get some information there and follow a lot of the major companies, right? Like Solana Foundation, Ethereum Foundation. Some of these larger projects by market cap, they always have events that are going on. And if you don't see any events, in terms of one of the ways that you can bring value to the space and get some quote unquote crypto experience, is maybe setting something up in your neck of the woods if there is a lack of a presence there.
So want to show the feed really quickly. So I was looking for the events. Nothing came up on the search, but when I type in crypto events, it pulls up event. Look at that, blockchain brunch.
Nice.
So if you see all event types, there's a bunch of stuff going on in here. So look at this, Web3 startup pitching session. I like it. Tomorrow, 10 a.m. Be there. That we have nothing to do with that. But one of the questions in our audience from Michael is, do you both think LinkedIn Premium is worth it for candidates? Why or why not? Oh, let me fix this. Yes, I think LinkedIn Premium is critical for candidates. In fact, LinkedIn should sponsor us with the amount of people that I've had sign up for LinkedIn Premium. So LinkedIn Premium allows you to do a couple things. One, you can send in-mails. So for me, I have a premium profile. When you have a premium profile, you can send me a free in-mail because we're both premium. If I am not premium, I think you have like anywhere between 5 to 100, and I don't know the exact number, but you've got credits where you can send in-mails to people that are not within your network. I think it's critical to have LinkedIn Premium because it also expands your search results. One of the things that I want to show you is when you do have LinkedIn Premium, here's how you find the people you're looking to network with. So again, LinkedIn, been a little buggy recently, but literally just type in the keyword crypto, press enter, never click on this page. This is not what we want to click on. We want to click on people. Now, from clicking on people, you're going to get 130,000 results. Now, again, LinkedIn being a little finicky. So you can search by second and third results. So I would just do second. That limits us to 23,000. If your profile is up to date, it looks good, it's got all the keywords, I would just press the connect button down the list, honestly. When you send a connection request with a note, you're giving them your ask, right? You're saying, hey, I want to connect because I'm interested in this job. I want to talk to you about this. I. So if you make it more about them, or if you don't even send a note, they're judging if they want to connect with you based off your profile, right? So you want that to lead. You want your experience to lead. Now, think about this, guys. Let me see if I can show this because I don't want to yeah, I can show this. Okay. Let's do this. Okay. So 465 connection requests. If I am getting 465 connection requests and it's what? Wednesday? Imagine what the hiring managers are getting. They're getting the exact same. They're getting hundreds of connection requests. They're getting an influx of inbound messages. And here's my thought process. They've got their day job to do, right? So there's a gap on the team. They're already overworked. Their team is overworked. And now we've got one more responsibility, which is we've got to hire, right? We've got to fill that gap. So on top of their day-to-day work, now they're doing recruiting. And you know what I think is interesting? A lot of people think recruiting is much easier than it actually is. Recruiting is very difficult. We make it look easy, but it is not. And it takes a lot of time because you're dealing with people and you've got to listen to the story. You've got to understand their background. You've got to do the follow-up. So one of the biggest complaints that I hear is, they never hear back, right? They get an automatic rejection letter or they just never hear back in general. And I want people to stop taking this so personally. Is it awful? Yes. But here's why it's happening. You got, if you're working with a recruiting firm, you're probably getting 10 applicants, right? 10 candidates from us that are a really great fit for the job, right? And then the hiring manager is talking to at least 5 of those candidates. Conversations blur, right? Like things get lost in the shuffle. It's never personal. But my thought is make it as easy as possible for them to not let you fall through the cracks. So an example of that would be sending a very thoughtful thank you note after the interview. Oh, I've got another pro tip about before the interview. But after the interview, you want to touch on something you built rapport over. So whether that's, you both have the same dog, or you've both worked at the same company previously, or you both know Joe Schmo. You want to put that in your thank you note. So they'll be like, yes, I remember this conversation. I remember this person. And if you don't hear back, don't be afraid to follow up. Help them help you identify that you're not only a right fit for the job, but don't let them lose track of your application. That's really what's happening is there's just, hold on one second. Hey, Sahara, thank you for talking to your people, but I need you to reel it. She's singing the songs of her people right now. I have a dog who doesn't just bark, it's a scream bark. Very unhelpful for live events. So after the interview, send a very thoughtful thank you note, very personalized. Don't send a template. It's not doing you any good. Put time into the thank you note. And my life hack is before the interview, send a thank you note. So here's what I mean by that. When you get the calendar invite and it's got the hiring manager's email on it, and it's got the Zoom link or the Google Meet link, reply all to that calendar invite and say, hey, Joe Schmo, I've been doing a lot of research on Flipside. I loved your most recent blog article about X, Y, and Z. Thank you for taking the time to meet with me tomorrow. I'm very much looking forward to our call. How many people do that? None. Nobody does that. It differentiates yourself. It makes you stand out. It sends little signals. This person doesn't even have the job yet. and they're reaching out with a thank you note, right? It just sends a signal of what it's going to be like to work with you when you do get the job. I think that's something people forget is like, yes, you are interested in the job. You think it's a great fit. You want to work for the company, and that's great. And I love the passion, but you've got to make it make sense for the business, right? Why do companies hire people? It's to make more money, right? That's it, right? Executive assistant frees up the founder's time, allows them to focus on, milestones, right? Graphic designer helps with marketing, brings more attention to the brand, more sales. So that's what it really gets down to is a company is hiring someone to make the company more efficient / more money. So that being said, you need to think about how can I make a positive impact in this company? How do I bring value to this company? So instead of I'm interested in the job, I want the job, think about how do you bring value to this company? Why would they want to hire you? I think that's an interview question that we've gotten away from is why should we hire you? I very, very few hiring managers ask that question. And that goes back to interview prep. You need to make sure you're very prepared for these interviews. You've got hundreds of candidates reaching out. So things like when was the company founded? Where are their team members from? Going back and reading through the blog, looking at social media, really making sure you've got an intense, in-depth understanding of the company and their competitors, right? So if you can tell someone about their competitor and why the company you're interviewing for is better or where you'll make an impact on that company, you're going to be cooking with gas. So
everyone's looking at the same information too, for the most part, right? No one's differentiating themselves even in their research. So a lot of people, when a company, prior to an interview, most people go to the company website, they look at the about section and they remember that. And maybe something basic about what the person's doing in their title. And that's literally to the extent of the research that they're doing. 99% of people are doing that, right? So in this industry, I think that you have to be the top 1%, right? To work in this space. So you have to treat yourself and act like the 1%. You cannot do things that everyone is going to do and expect to, one, get in the industry or to excel in the industry. It's just asinine. So some of the things that you can do, right? A lot of crypto companies, especially now in the last few years, they put a huge focus on marketing initiatives. Most companies have YouTube channels. We have a really great YouTube channel as well too. So you can go and watch people's interviews with the community. How are they engaging with the community? What are some of the topics that the community cares about? Because therefore, it's usually some kind of correlation between the company having an interest in what their community is talking about, especially if it's tight knit and there's a really good relationship all around, right? So, what are some of the trending topics? What are the problems that the company is trying to solve? Have you read the white paper? Have you read their light paper? Have you read their roadmap? Do you have an understanding about the product that they're working on, maybe some of the problems they had and how they solved those problems? I mean, this is the way you have to think outside the box. And not only for just preparing for interview, but I would say probably every type of interaction and anything that you do in this industry, you always have to be thinking differently and you have to be willing to continue to raise the bar. I think that's one thing that a lot of people don't understand about this industry is you think that things can be here and then the next day it's got to be better, or your strategy for doing that may not be even relevant anymore. You might have to go out of your comfort zone. And I would say that Emily and I are not the most social media friendly people, but I would say that we probably have to consider ourselves to be podcast hosts at this point, or social media experts, because we're just here so much in doing this and giving back to the community. So you really have to, I would say, one, do the things that a majority of the people aren't doing, and learn to love the journey rather than just the ultimate outcome of where you want to go. And that's another thing that a lot of people aren't doing. They're frustrated. I get it. It's hard. One other pro tip, folks, I know that this is an emotional experience, but I've never spoke to someone that's ever got a job by ranting about how hard it is to find a job on social media. Never. Yeah. No hiring manager has ever said to me, you know what? I read John's post And I was really taken aback by the fact that he's applied to 100 jobs, and I'm going to drop everything that I'm doing, and I'm going to have a conversation with John and give him the job because he just really wants it that bad. They don't care. No one cares. So like, don't get emotional. And instead of like trying to focus that energy on like what's not working, think about what's working right and how to get better and better and better and better and better every single day.
Yep. I want to highlight a comment from Michael. Michael, thank you so much for participating today. We really appreciate it. It's been
we
very
would love if more people participated like Michael.
Yeah.
Michael, you are a rock star. We need more like this. Thank you.
So do you have any advice for cover letters? How do you stand out? Are they always read? I've been in recruiting for coming up on 11 years. Never read a cover letter, not once. What about you, Trev? Have you read cover letters before, or they're just
I've briefly looked at them. It's kind of like, I don't know, if the LinkedIn profile is not attracting me and the resume is not attracting me, like if you haven't sold me by those two things, are the interactions, are like our original initial intro conversation, like if you haven't sold me there, I don't really feel like the cover letter is going to be like the thing that pushes you over the 1 yard line to score a touchdown. Like,
unless you're an executive. If you're an executive, yes, cover letters, but I don't think recruiting HR is going to read them. I think executive leadership team is going to read the cover letter sent by a candidate. But if you're, not an executive, they're not going to get read because too many people are sending templated. Also, take your picture off your resume. Picture and home address. I talk to people about this all the time.
And right? Sometimes they have their home address and their phone number. Like, you're giving away way too much personal information.
Yeah. So take your home address off your LinkedIn, off your resume. Nobody needs to know where you live. There are plenty of HR professionals and recruiters that I would not want to have my home address. So just a thought. Oh, Michael's back. Oh my God, I love Michael. But does a cover letter check a box from the recruiting perspective, meaning the candidate cares more than the standard applicant? In my opinion, no, because it could be templated, right? I think, it's not going to get opened.
Especially with ChatGPT now, Em, right? Like, you can literally feed a bunch of information and just say, create a cover letter based on XYZ, and it's just going to, essentially kind of cheat for you. So the level, I would say, of research and things that people typically would do that would differentiate them when it comes to a cover letter, like, there's just so much out there that now people can assimilate and just summarize and just kind of spit something out, right? So maybe we should talk about that, right? The technology is wonderful, and we should use the technology. We shouldn't let it use us. And what I mean by that is that I think that people have gotten a little bit too reliant on, ChatGPT and AI and everything like that, just to kind of do a majority of the heavy lifting. I would say that, you want to kind of come at it from your own original approach and give it a try on your own, or use ChatGPT and some of these other tools to help you formulate your ideas. But, I'm seeing it from everything, right? And I think that most good people in this space, they can sniff it out when it's just like a quick cut and paste, like simple basic ChatGPT prompt. Like, I'm seeing very like AI feely kind of messages, even in like responses to like LinkedIn posts. So people are like creating posts entirely with ChatGPT, and then like you have people that are responding by using ChatGPT with the, it's just like crazy. It's getting out of hand. So, put a little bit more effort into it to help you stand out. I know these things take a little bit more time, but at the end of the day, I think that those steps and those extra things that you do are going to probably help you stand out a little bit more in terms of just like a standard cover letter.
Yeah, I think, one of the other things, guys, is contributing to ecosystems, right? So rather than just cold applying, going into their Discord, going into their Telegram, bringing value, I think that's something that'll really help you stand out. There was something that I wanted to bring up. I really need to write this stuff down.
It's good. Like, it's they're just like you said, Discord. A lot of projects, not necessarily all ones that have to be technical either. They have they have GitHub accounts. So, you know, you can be a contributor to their GitHub. And a lot of times people feel like GitHub is like totally riddled with all overly technical type of jargon and documentation. But I was surprised when I started to kind of like dig deep into some projects and look at their GitHubs. And I was just like, oh, wow, like this is a really beautifully written, like they got like diagrams and charts about like the product, where they're going, helping you to break down and understand like even highly technical things in a very like layman's terms. And I was just like, huh, holy shit, like this is pretty cool. I'm learning a lot of stuff here. So they need to create that documentation. Well, wouldn't it be wonderful if you could contribute that way, or even volunteer, internships, do something. Yeah. You have to do something. And I think it really is good when it comes back to what you mentioned, Emily, about, you know, that not only that originality, but also to, you know, just kind of doing things that help you stand out and think outside the box.
Michael is our superstar today. Have you ever seen ghost job posting for larger companies when they already have an internal employee in mind? So let me answer the first part of this question. So yes. Companies are legally obligated, even if they have an internal employee in mind, they're legally obligated to post the job and consider external applicants. So they will actually interview people, even though they want to hire an internal employee. It's not great, but that's the way she rolls. Any company posting jobs just for growth optics? Absolutely. There are people that, here's the thought, here's the mindset, right? Post a job, have people apply to the job, get them really excited so they do their research on the company, right? And then maybe they're so excited about the company or so interested, they become a user, right? So I worry that there's a lot of companies that are posting just to gain new users or just to gain traction or to give the appearance that they're growing. I will tell you that here's the problem with LinkedIn. LinkedIn will give you one free job posting a month, one job posting for 1 month for free. So you'll definitely see some companies take advantage of that. But my thought is that, you know, if you see multiple jobs posted on LinkedIn by that same company, they're making an active investment into their platform on LinkedIn to post these jobs. So I take LinkedIn job postings pretty seriously. Now, to understand the back end a little bit, LinkedIn has, how do I describe this? So LinkedIn has job slots. So you pay X amount, it's over $1,000 per job slot. So we have, I want to say we've got like 25 job slots. So I can interchange which jobs that I'm posting, but I can only post 25. Maybe we have 25 at a time. Let's just call it 25. So, you know, I can interchange those jobs, right? I can post a job, have it run for 30 days, have it run for 90 days, and collect applicants until I find the right one. LinkedIn just moved away from a trial product. I hope nobody from LinkedIn is watching this because they're going to shut me down. So LinkedIn for about a year did pay per click. So what that means is you could post unlimited jobs and you would only pay for the job that, for the applicant that applied, right? I would only pay per click for an applicant. They went away from that because companies were posting 50 plus jobs just to get more traction. There was actually a competitor of ours. I was so salty about this. They post over 500 jobs on their LinkedIn page. 500 jobs. I thought that was ridiculous. And what they did is they posted the same job in multiple different territories.
Or in multiple states. So you put the same job in all 50 states and you said, it's remote. We got 50 jobs. Clever.
Very frustrating. Very frustrating. Clever. So LinkedIn saw that was happening, so they went back to the job slots, which is good and actually less expensive than the pay-per-click. But that's kind of how the job slots work. Now, if you're not a recruiting firm, you get to post one job for free for 1 month. So pay attention to the companies that have more than one job slot open. They've got 2 jobs. They've got 5 jobs, right? Those companies are making an active investment, and it's not cheap to do recruiting. There's also a bunch of job boards out there like DGen Crypto Jobs, crypto-careers.com. crypto jobs list. So I would definitely be checking those out. Now they're aggregators. So not only are they posting jobs that people sign up for on their website, but they're posting jobs they find on Google.
There's well found in there as well too, a lot of these same ones that you just mentioned, some of those same job boards, they'll have an actual, domain website address, but they'll also have a corresponding Telegram group. So make sure that you're following those as well too. This is a good question. One of the last questions: how can you sniff out like the fake jobs? I mean, it's hard, but I think that one of the ways that you can, this is all in your due diligence. You should be looking at not only what the jobs the company's posting, but like, what's their social media like? Like, are their employees even posting anything? Have the recruiters from the team actually reposted that position, or do you just see like all these job postings and no interaction from like the actual employees with the community? Like, you also have to look in to see how many days were these jobs open. Like some of these jobs, you go to these postings, it's like it's been open for 450 days. It's like, well, what the hell are you doing? Like, this is a CTO role. How are you still even surviving if the job has been open that long? So it might not really be legitimate. I would do that. I think that's really the best thing. And then try to also to align it with the job posting with like the product roadmap and try to figure out like if those things are corresponding and see like if it even lines up or if there's kind of blowing hot smoke. I mean, I really look at social media and the interactions and how active a lot of the key executive people are in terms of like trying to do, business development and determining whether that's a company that we even want to partner with or potentially work with them to bring, talent on board too as well. So like if it looks a little bit too good to be true, and there's no engagement from the community and you can't reach out to someone and actually talk to them about the role, or you don't see that the recruiters are posting, you don't see the recruiters engaged, probably BS.
I want to expand on that, but I just want to highlight, Jordan, good branding on the Crypto Recruiters part. You will be able to spot the yellow merch anywhere. Thank you so much. That was the goal. So just back to sniffing out fake jobs really quickly. You can tell a lot by the employees on LinkedIn. You can tell, like if the employees aren't posting about it, if the leadership isn't posting about it, if it's not on their Twitter, their Telegram, it's not on other job boards, that smells fishy to me. Michael's back. Do you think other crypto companies' recruiters judge whether you've worked for a bankrupt crypto project? Yes and no. I have two takeaways from this. Yes, some companies will pay attention to that and judge you off it. Two, some companies will see it as a learning experience. Some companies will really value that because now you know what not to do. You've experienced multiple different things in the industry, right? You now know the red flags. So it really depends on your values, right? What's important to you? A company that appreciates the lessons that you have learned, or the company that's going to judge you because X, Y, and Z happened. So two different ways to take that. It's like, it's hard to find a job when you are a founder, right? Because the initial mindset is like, well, if Jane Doe was so good at her job, why would she be looking for another job, right? What went wrong at her company that now she wants to take a step back and be an individual contributor again, right? That's a message that sends. But you want to take into consideration, do you want to work for a company that feels that way? Or do you want to work for a company that's going to appreciate your entrepreneurial mindset, the different viewpoints that you bring to challenges, because you have been doing marketing and finance and legal and business development, right? So I think there's a lot of value that founders bring to new opportunities, but it gets down to the company's values, the company's thought process. So that's a decision for you. Do you want to work for a company that values your experience, or is this the right word? Shuns your experience. So, I think that's what it gets down to, right? Do your values align?
I think also too, you should be paying attention to when it comes back down to doing your own research. I think it's important for you to like look into see what are other people saying about this, right? Like if you just like, I know that you want to get experience, but like if you want to work for an institutional client that is transitioning into crypto, maybe working at Fartcoin might not be a good idea. I don't know, right? I mean, it could be at some point, depending on what you're doing there, if it's something that's highly technical, but you want to kind of think about, right, not only your first opportunity, but what are you going to be able to gain from that first opportunity that is going to be able to determine, whether or not you're going to be a fit for maybe 1 or 2, 3, 4 jobs down the line. So you always have to be thinking about like your future self, even though, the current things are taking precedence.
Yep. Love it. Dan has a question. Do you recommend to use or not use the open to work? I personally use open to work with only recruiters because I don't want it to be so public. I do see the open to work banner on your LinkedIn.
So do I.
I would highly recommend you to not use this. You can definitely use open to work on the back end for recruiters, but I think being open to work sends a signal, right? And when you're in recruiting, you're in hiring, you're considering someone for a job. Let me take a step back. Everybody's got a career story, right? It's more than just what's on your resume. It's things that have happened. It's things that you've learned, but you don't get to tell that story. A piece of paper does it for you, and your actions do it for you. So if you are using the open to work banner, the question becomes, well, why is Dan open to work? What happened that Dan would be advertising that he's looking for a new job, right? Hold on one second.
And also as well, too, kind of adding on to that, I think that, the open to work, a lot of people, I feel that they think that by just solely putting open to work, that this is going to be the magic indicator for every recruiter in the world to just start rushing them and like reaching out to them, and that like you can just kind of put up a banner, set it and forget it. And that like, recruiters see that I'm interested, they see my qualifications. Of course, they're going to reach out to me because I'm a great candidate. And it has to be a lot more, I would say, proactive than that. And unfortunately, we've had some potential clients and people that we work with are just kind of hearsay in the space. They don't want to see that banner on your profile. Like they've actually been like, you know what, if they have that on their profile, we don't want to work with them, or we don't want to consider them. Now, that can be a bit harsh. But, at the end of the day, we serve to, meet what our clients are looking for, and it can be understood at some point. But I think it kind of goes back to human psychology. And, I feel like at times recruiters, and I don't know why, but I feel like recruiters and hiring managers, when they see that banner, it's like an air of desperation. Yeah. And it's kind of like the person that is, if you're dating and you go out for one night and you're looking for a potential partner, and the person is just like, hey, I'm single. Like, hey, like, it's kind of just get like this weird feeling about this person. You're kind of like thinking like, well, why are you single? Right. And it's the same thing. Like, well, why are you open to work? Like maybe something bad happened, and everyone, and that's not the case.
Negative.
And that's not the case. And like also too, just like human psychology, people always want what others have. So, when they see that you're still with the company, they're, especially recruiters, they want to, it's kind of like a feeling like they want to, it's a part of the hunt, right? Like they'd rather try to be able to like scoop you up or take you away from a great place to put you somewhere better, versus than if you was kind of like out there on your own. So a lot of this doesn't make sense. And I know it seems a little bit harsh and it might be frustrating, but we're not here to sugarcoat this for you all. We're here to try to help you. And that's just something that a lot of people won't share that alpha with you all.
Some people love us, some people hate us, but we're always going to be real with you. I just think
at the end of the day, they're not going to be at our funeral, so it's all good.
They might be.
Maybe.
I just want to say, Dan said, thank you for the info. Love you guys. We love you too, Dan. Thanks so much for coming up. Okay, so I want to talk to Michael again. Can you explain how reposted works on LinkedIn job postings? Are these automatic? Okay, so let's start with the first part. So I wish I could show you this, but I can't. On the back end of LinkedIn, when I post a job, it adds them to, what do I want to, it's called a project. So think of it, what's a good analogy for this? When you post a job, it links them to a project. The project is where all the candidates are saved. If I were to post the job again and attach the candidates to the same project, it then shows reposted. If I were to copy and paste the job description and then have it go to a new project, then it would show as a new job. So when someone reposts the job, they can just extend it, or they can post it again and attach it to the same project. And that's where it's going to show, the thousands of applicants. Now, going back to the question, it is possible they truly didn't find the right applicant. I will tell you that most of our placements come from our network, not from our job posts. But there are some really good people. We definitely place people that have applied on LinkedIn. And that's the benefit of working with a recruiting firm, right? We've got almost 80,000 followers on our LinkedIn page. When I post a job, it goes out to so many more people than if my clients were to post the job, which is the benefit that we bring. Any insights onto quickly how to hop on a job posting? Yes, sir. Let me share my screen. Hold on. Uno momento. Share screen. Feed. Yes. Okay. So let's say you wanted to work with us and you were like, oh my God, the crypto recruiters, we love their jobs. They work with, really great companies and they don't take everybody on. I got a view as member. I'm an admin. So what you can do is you can go to the company page, you can click on jobs, and you can see the jobs that are open, right? That dog. Click show all jobs and then press set alert. So every time I post, I'm gonna die. Hold on.
So every time that any job that you have that we post from the crypto recruiters and you have that alert on, you're going to get notified about that. So that's the best way. A lot of people are trying to figure out how do I keep up with this stuff? So anyone, right? It's not just us, but if you're following a particular company, especially if you follow them, but if you go to those jobs and you set that alert, then you're going to be getting alerts and heads up about that, when those go live. So that's going to probably give you your best chance at being able to, get yourself in there, especially if you're qualified. One of the other things too is about some of these job boards and postings, and a lot of it, honestly, folks, it comes down to timing, right? I've seen jobs posted and within an hour, there's 150 applicants, right? So if you did not apply within the first 5 minutes, now you're probably applicant number 108.
Yep.
And you might have a kick-ass resume, an amazing background. But if a recruiter, especially if they're strapped in, they're trying to find people and to get them to their hiring manager and to move this process along as smoothly and as quickly as possible while trying to identify and, not waste time. So they may go through the first top 10, 5, 10 if you're lucky, 20 if you're really lucky. And then they're looking to see all right, are any of these people going to be quality enough, or are they checking off enough of the boxes in the job description that I can therefore forward them along to have potential interest from my hiring manager? And then if the process starts to move along and then the hiring manager likes, those first 10 candidates that you sent, for that recruiter sent from that batch, then they're going to continue to move along with the process. They're not going to go back and look at candidates, applicants number 21 to 108. That's just not the way that it works. Yep. So if you also see that a job has been reposted, make sure to check if there's a particular this, you don't see this as much, but sometimes there might be multiple job openings for the same job title. So that's when it's really good for you to be following what the company's doing, to be following what the recruiters are talking about, because they might have a software engineer role and they might fill that role. Or they might have 2 software engineer opens and they might fill one, or one might have a higher seniority level, or different. One might be, different type of prerequisites in terms of programming languages or something like that. So don't just always assume that if you see a job posting or if it's reposted that it was the same job or that it wasn't the same job, because you never know.
So let me show you how to set up further job alerts. I'm glad that we're on video. I do miss audio events, but I'm glad that I can show you guys this. So just search the keyword crypto, press enter. Again, never on this page, always the bubbles up here. Click jobs. Now we've got 1,900, ladies and gentlemen. If you turn the alerts on, you are going to get notifications anytime someone posts a job that's related to crypto. Now we can do this with all the keywords. Web3, 1,200. Turn that bad boy on. Let's do blockchain. What do we got? 2,600 alert on. So another way you could do it is just on Google, crypto jobs. Now you see this little box right here. This is critical. This is where all the jobs live that are aggregated on Google. So you can press right here, 100 more jobs. And then this is the follow button that's critical here. So you'll get daily email updates for this search. So every day I get an email about new jobs that have been posted. So I think that that's a great way to set up job alerts. You do want to be one of the first people to apply to these jobs, but what I will tell you, don't apply on Friday. Don't apply over the weekend. Don't apply on Monday. Apply on Tuesday, right? Because over the weekend, the recruiting manager, the hiring manager is going to be flooded with applications, right? They're just getting back to work. But if you apply on a Tuesday, they've had time to get through Monday through Friday's application, and now they're starting fresh. On LinkedIn, you can organize candidates by a couple things. One, date applied. So anytime someone applies to my jobs, I can organize who's the most recent applicant so I don't confuse anybody. You can also organize by relevance. So people that are the most closely to a match, they'll be at the top of the list. I always do date applied so I don't miss anybody. But what's interesting, guys, is LinkedIn automatically archives. What time is it? Okay, I've got to go in 4 minutes. LinkedIn automatically archives applicants that aren't a fit, right? So there's a setting if the applicant is out of country, archive. So if you're out of the country, it'll automatically put you into a different folder. I won't see it, right? If you're missing a skill on your resume or on your LinkedIn profile, you might get archived. I'm not going to see it. There are qualifying questions that we can add to the beginning of the job post. So if you ever applied to a job and then you have to answer like yes or no or years of experience, if you answer incorrectly to those questions, you get archived. But I can't tell you guys how important it is to be honest on these applications, on these questions, because there is nothing more of a turnoff than scheduling an interview with someone and then saying, oh, great, tell me about your Figma experience. And they're like, Figma? It's like, yes, the box that you said yes to right here. You know what I mean? Last question, 2 last questions, 3. Ozzy, are Wednesdays no good? Wednesdays are good. You want to apply Tuesday through Thursday. And then Michael, let me pull this one up actually. What makes someone a closest match based on LinkedIn, based off the skills on their profile? So it's the skills section. It used to be the experience section where all the keywords are, but now it's the skills section. So LinkedIn, the LinkedIn algorithm is matching skills on your profile to the job that I'm posting. Because when I post a job, I can say, find candidates with these 10 skills. So if you're missing those skills, 1, you're not going to get a notification about the job. And 2, LinkedIn is going to automatically connect you. Okay, so I just want to see. And then EC had one last question, but it shows up as LinkedIn member. He was asking if we have a talent agency, a community where one could network with potential clients. No, unfortunately, we don't. We've been trying to come up with something like that. The logistics are just, since our network is so big, we don't have a dedicated resource to set that up because that would literally be a full-time job for somebody. But I would just say, follow our page, engage in the comments, engage on my post. You'd be surprised how many people get reach outs by engaging on my post because they get so many views. So that would be my best suggestion there. Trevor, any last words for us? Because I've got to jump to my next call.
Any last words? I think the common theme of today is to be persistent, stay consistent. I love the way that people were joining in this conversation. We love to get back to the community, but unfortunately, the one-on-one requests, reach outs about like how to transition into the industry, it's impossible for us to do that.
We want
literally
to.
impossible.
We want to, but it's
and like truly we do, and this is what these sessions are for. And we've had these conversations, but rarely do people go back and look at our YouTube channel. So I would say if you want to get ahead, we're always not going to preach ourselves as the only solution. We are amazing, we are incredible, and we are the best. But there are other options out there. But if you're trying to get into this industry and do your own research, like be really about that life. Like do your own research. Don't be lazy. Don't just try to cut and cheat and steal or cut corners. Like everyone's trying to do that. And those are not going to be the people that ultimately last long term in this industry. There's tons of information out there, but don't work hard, work smart, utilize the resources that you have. And then lastly, I would say use what you got. A lot of people are always trying to look on the outside, but very few people are looking inwards in what the abilities that they have and what makes them special in the first place. And that's what you need to be doing. And especially at a time like this, double down on where you are good, where other people have complimented you, and go out there, like, be bold, do something different. And, you may have like one clap, you might be the only one clapping for yourself right now, but sooner or later, if you stay consistent and you keep doing this and you follow the advice that we give you, you're going to get there and, actually do it. So that's it.
Trevor, as always, a pleasure. Can't wait to see you in person at DAS. We will talk to you all soon. Everybody's finding this very helpful. Good. I'm glad. That's what we're here for. All right, guys. Talk to you soon. See you next Wednesday. Let us know if you need anything. We'll do our best to get back to you. Please don't be offended when we can't. Jace, good to see you. Talk to you guys later.
Bye.